Welcome to the Principal Podcast, where we talk about how the best professional services firms grow. Whether you're looking to scale your firm or learn from the stories of founders and leaders who've done it, you're in the right place. Join us as we interview the best leaders in professional services. Let's get on with the show. Ian, welcome to the Principal Podcast. What a start.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
It is my pleasure. Let's jump straight into it. Tell me about Nucleus Research. That sounds fascinating. And 25 years, this is not nothing. I appreciate longevity. So what's the story, Ian?
Yeah, after 25 years, I think I should probably find another job. I hate actually saying it because I realize I've been doing it for a while. So Nucleus Research is a research firm very similar to other technology research firms like a Gartner Group that many people would know, or a Forrester. The difference is we take a quantitative approach. So we look at ROI rather than opinions. We don't like, what I'd like to say is we don't like or dislike anything. We hate everything. We just care if people deliver value or not. So everything is bad. We just want to find the best thing possible for you. So we look at ROI. Is it right for you? Is it worth it for your investment in technology, as opposed to some ranking or some other opinion that an analyst might have? We don't have opinions. We just look at, do the numbers make sense? And that's unique for a particular customer. So that's really our approach to our research, and that's how we distinguish us from the other folks in the industry.
I couldn't help but laughing because one of the concepts that we recently implemented in the company is our best bad idea. It's like, guys, well, I get it. This is not a good idea. And if anything, it's probably a bad idea, but it's the best bad idea we have. So we're going to try it and we're going to learn from it. So I really like we don't like all this, like we hate everything.
That's a fantastic approach, because one of the things we see is that people will become enamored by a piece of technology. But if you start out saying, I just don't want this, I hate it, and you use that as a way to then financially justify why you're making a decision, it's a fantastic way to get everybody aligned around, is this worth it or not? So yeah, what a great idea. The best worst idea, if you will.
I know we are taking a tangent already here, but I can't help myself. So what do you think about AI? Is that a worthy technology to invest in?
Well, is it worth it? Yeah. So the short answer is absolutely. When we look at AI being used in our environment, in any professional services environment, we do hundreds of case studies. We've published thousands of ROI case studies. So when we look at some of the recent ones over the last 2 or 3 years, as people have implemented AI fundamentally makes people more productive. We know that, but can also hide some of the lazy folks out there. I was actually on a conference call with a big company yesterday, and a lot of the folks were talking about how they were using AI to generate a lot of the marketing content. Well, that's good, but it's only good to the extent that the marketing content still has that spark that represents the company, as opposed to the blandness of AI. AI does help increase productivity. One of the things we tell clients to think about with AI is, think about AI like that early picture of the Wright Flyer. Remember that one where it's taking off, and whether it's Orville or Wilbur, one of them standing there and the airplane's going off and it's black and white. And isn't this wonderful? Well, Orville and Wilbur at the time were not thinking about frequent flyer programs. They weren't thinking that they would make more money on affiliate credit cards. They were just trying to get an airplane in the air. And we are in the early days of AI. So when I say it's bland, yeah, it's pretty bland, and we can all pick it out. That will get better. Its responses will get better. So AI will increase productivity, which makes it worth it, and it will get better. We're still in those early days. We haven't yet figured out how we're going to use it. So yeah, is AI worth it? Short answer is yes. There are more complexities there, but ultimately it will replace the amount of people you need to do the same job. That is a true state.
I like your vibe. So back to Nucleus Research. What's the specific problem that you help people solve exactly? Like, what is it that you're helping them achieve at the end of the day?
So we work with primarily two different kinds of clients. We work with vendors who are selling technology, and we work with end users who are buying technology. ultimately what we're doing is helping people to build a business case. So if you think about the sales pipeline or the decision pipeline, right? You look at different products in the industry, you come up with a short list. Well, there are a lot of different ways to get to the short list. When I decide what is the best product for me, so when you decide on what's the best car for you, there are a lot of different cars out there. If you want to bring a lot of things home from Home Depot, for instance, you probably want a pickup truck. If you have to carry a bunch of kids around, you might want a minivan. It doesn't mean that minivans are the best thing possible or pickup trucks are the best thing. It just means for different types of people, different things are the best for them. So we help vendors as they articulate that message. A vendor walks in and says, we want you to buy our product. What they really want to say is, let us show you how much money you'll save by buying our product. Let us show how much more efficient you'll be by buying our product. One of the things I point out with salespeople, and on the end user side, it's the same thing. Why should I buy this product over another? When I talk to salespeople, one of the examples I always use is, I say, if I told you you could make money raising baby alligators in your bathtub, would you do it? It's an absurd example, right? But I always get the same.
I would.
Everybody in the audience will chuckle a little bit. They'll think. And then everybody says the same thing. How much money? And if I say, oh, $5 million a year, everybody says, sure, I will raise baby alligators in my bathtub. I will do that. Now, again, absurd example, and your spouse is going to think you're absolutely insane until you say, but we'll make $5 million a year. And then your spouse thinks you're a genius, right? But the point of the example is, I never told you anything about the product. I only told you that you would make money, and you did it because that's the rational decision. So we have a lot of vendors that lead with, here are all the things we do, rather than lead with, here are all the things we can do for you to increase productivity or to reduce cost. So taking that value statement means I can sell you alligators all day. But if I said, I'm going to sell you a reptile that's green that has white teeth, that's not a strong sale right now. There's no reason for me to buy one of those. But it's a strong sale when I say, I'm going to show you how you can make $5 million a year. That's a stronger way to sell. So hopefully we help the vendors as they build that value message, and the end users as they say, I know it seems absurd, but we're going to buy baby alligators because this is the ROI we're going to get. And if you think about the really absurd example, if you're in an elevator and you're trying to pitch a product that you want to buy for a company, and the CFO looks at you and says, why are we buying it? And the only answer you have is, because it'll make $5 million a year, you're okay, right? The CFO is going to say, sounds like a good idea, buy 3 of them. And that'll be it. So yeah, it's really changing the whole sales dynamic and the whole decision dynamic from, I want to buy something because it's at the top of some list, or because it seems like it's the best, or because it has the most marketing, to it's the best for us, which is not necessarily the best for the other person.
Yeah, so I'm a bit of a nerd, and I was searching at the same time, how much is an alligator worth? And so between $200 and $400. So if we take a $300 average, we would need to sell quite a lot of alligators to make 5 million per year, Ian. So not sure that's the business model we want to pursue.
Maybe these are special alligators, but we're going to sell you extra special alligators.
That it makes a lot of sense. Well, they can survive. They can survive in the bathtub, so definitely good.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I like the logic. It does make a lot of sense. So you mentioned a lot of vendors. Who is it that you do this for? Who is it that you help make a choice, select, or advertise properly the outcome and the benefit, not the features? Who is it that you help?
So our primary vendor clients are big technology companies. They tend to be any technology company. They don't have to be large. But the typical companies you would expect, I don't necessarily want to go through the list, but you can do a quick search and find out folks like Oracle, ADP, UKG, everybody in some way we've worked with, just about everybody, it seems, we've worked with over the last 25 years and work with on a continuous basis. So those folks can buy and typically buy an advisory service from us like you would from any other research firm. You use us for the quantitative advice, and then you would use, say, a Gartner or Forrester for the qualitative advice, and you would merge the two, and then you would have a better picture of the market or of how you're positioning your product. So our large vendor companies are typical large technology companies. On the end user side, they tend to be very large companies that build business cases or other technology decisions, and we're usually behind that in some way. We don't talk about our end user clients as much, but when they need to build a business case, we provide all the data and information that they need to be able to do that. And we have an AI tool available on our website that allows you to very quickly look for data points. For instance, how much more productive would a typical sales rep be if they used a CRM system? And you'd be able to use that productivity increase to decide whether a CRM system would be good for you or not. So as you're building the business case, we help both sides as they either deliver that business case as a vendor or try to build a business case as somebody trying to purchase a technology solution.
Who pays for that? Is it the vendor or the ultimate buyer? Who are the clients?
Both sides will have subscription services with us, like you would with any other advisory service for any other company. Yeah. So a lot of the big end user clients that we work with also use another service, usually Gartner, and then they would use us. So use Gartner to get to a short list. What should we consider? Then they would use us to say, how do we build a business case for the one we want to decide to purchase, and why is that the best decision? And on the vendor side, same thing. It's always independent, so we're 100% independent. We don't, we're not necessarily paid for by one person that says we want you to pitch our product. That's just not part of our ethics. It's not the way we work.
No, that does make lots of sense. And it's interesting. I mean, it's not a marketplace business, but it's really at the intersection of both. So you can see both aspects of the markets, demand and supply. Usually comes with a lot of benefits to sit at this level.
It's surprising some of the things we do see. I mentioned end users. We tend to stay away from government projects just because ROI usually isn't a core part of what they decide to do. So, but we work with a number of governments as well. But some very large decisions we've been behind very quietly, and whether people decide to, for instance, upgrade today, or they may decide it's a better idea to upgrade in a year or two. So on that side, and then on the vendor side, we're on the same side there, trying to help those folks as they justify why somebody should upgrade in their marketing material or in the research that they have that they can then present to a company. Yeah. So case studies, for instance, are something that both sides use. Vendors use them to show how other people have achieved ROI, and then end users use them so that they can see what typical numbers would be that they might achieve as they make a technology decision. So we'll help both sides. It is a spot where we get to see both sides of the decision in many cases, but there are rules that we abide by and we live by, and that means we're fair to everybody.
I like that. The $5 million question, I guess, Ian. How do you market? How do you brand? How do you position yourself at the intersection of some of the biggest technology vendors, their customers? And I'm particularly interested into this one because you don't just need to be trusted by the system vendors, or you don't need to just be trusted by the end users. You need to be trusted by both.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Yeah, so certainly early on when I started the company, that was a bigger challenge. That one by one, we looked at vendors that we could work with and worked with them on particular research case studies and different research notes and guidebooks, things that we produce that are standard items that they then use as part of their marketing and their outreach. So take an ROI case study that we do on a regular basis. That's the core thing that we do, and we've done more of them than anybody else. We have thousands published where we actually go in and do an assessment of what a customer actually achieved. Well, if we start with a couple of vendors that then use those, as they distributed those, we became more widely known among that customer base. And then those end users would come to us and say, could you do this for another decision we make? As we did it for those decisions, the vendors that are part of those decisions then became aware of us and started using us. So I would say it was a very viral growth early on, where we started with one linked to many other end users, and from the end users linked back to the vendors. Also, as vendors use us in marketing material, so they may do a press release around an ROI case study that we do, other vendors in that spot will see that, and they'll see the value of that for them as they try to make a marketing message. So because we just focus on ROI, just on value, we don't do any other things like market sizing or opinions. We're very well known for just ROI. So people know us for that. We haven't diluted the brand in any way. So if you ask a vendor who does ROI work, more than likely they'll say, well, you should turn to Nucleus for that. They're the experts in that, because we haven't done anything that undermines that message. And we've stuck with that for years. And then from one market, we're able to just expand and continue to expand into other markets.
A bit of a cheeky question for you, but I guess it's going to be more on the end buyer side, wouldn't they see a form of, not a conflict of interest, but like bias at least? Like, oh, if you're known to be working with certain vendors, obviously you're going to recommend or advertise those vendors more. Genuine question, I have no clue, but is that something that may be perceived by the market?
Yeah, so I mean, that's a fantastic question, and that was a tightrope that we walk very carefully. So, one of the very first documents I created for the company is our ethics statement, our 5 tenets in the way that we do work, and that was probably the first document. It's at the top of our shared drive that we use internally. It's the #1 document that everybody knows about. If you ask any of the employees, they've all read it. They all know it. They know how important it is. But ethics is a core part of what we do. One of the things, if we look at an ROI case study that we write, we publish the ROI number. The ROI of using UKG in a particular situation is 300%. We write up the case study, then we have all the numbers in the back. So all of the numbers, so it's all transparent, so that you can look at the numbers yourself and say, I understand how this ROI was calculated. So we don't hide anything. When we create ROI tools, we do it in Excel. Why? Well, because you can see the formulas. Anybody that uses an online ROI tool is kidding themselves, because anything that's a black box, you don't know what's behind that. You want to be able to see the formulas. So transparency is such a core part of what we do, that if we do an ROI case study for, say, Microsoft, for instance, and Amazon sees it, well, they can see the data points. It's all open, and those are the only rules that we work by. Is that everything has to be transparent. Now, some things are not. Things like individual salaries or certain things that would be confidential to a particular customer, we will keep, or we will merge in some way. But everything is there for you to see. So it was that absolutely rigid adherence to transparency from the very first day that made it easy for us to say, look, think of us more like accountants. We are a technology research firm that takes an accounting approach. And to think about accounting, we're registered with the National Association of State Boards of Accountancy. So we can provide CPE credits to accountants. We're that serious about the way we do ROI. So unlike other folks that may do marketing material, we don't do any of that. So we also have other rules of engagement and how we work with vendors. So everything is hands off. There are certain payment plans that are timed. We don't charge, you don't pay us based on acceptance. So there's no influence there. There's a lot of other things. When you see other folks say they did a white paper, we don't do white papers like that. We are accountants, and we're accountants and finance people first. And if you called and say, how'd you get the data point? We will help you on the phone, and we'll help you to build the business case, even if we don't know who you are. But if you're looking at a particular case study, we will explain it to the extent we can, given that some of the information is obviously confidential, salary rates and things like that. Things like that, we can't give out. But other things will help you to whatever extent you want. So if you randomly called us and just talked to an analyst and said, I've got a question about a case study you did, I would bet one of our analysts would get on the phone and help you write that. It wouldn't be we'll call you back or we can't do it. We probably talk you through it.
So what's the most popular, because I'm on the website at the same time, I'm looking at what you guys do. You release an astronomical amount of case studies. I'm very curious to understand how the authorizations between the clients and the vendor obviously work. But most importantly, so there are memberships, you target vendors, users, equity as well. There are multiple, there is the ROI University, which I like. So what would you say is the core business of Nucleus? And then I have a follow-up question, but I'll let you answer this one first.
Yeah, so our core business still remains. Think of us like Gartner. We have advisory and technology. We have research on technology and advisory services on technology. But our approach is around ROI. And our core piece of research is an ROI case study. And what that really means to you is, when you talk to one of our analysts can say, we like somebody. But our analysts won't say that because, like I said, we hate everything. And that's sort of, it's sort of a joke, but it's a good way to approach it.
It's very good.
What we say is we have a case study that shows the ROI is this in this particular company. So it's not about what the analyst thinks. It's about what the analyst found when they call an actual customer and do an actual case study. So we have plenty of people out there that'll say, oh, we'll do a case study for you. But they don't have the years of experience doing it. They don't have the rigid process and making sure that the accounting is correct. They're probably not doing the phone call. They're doing some fictional case study. Every single case study that we've done has notes, has a phone call, multiple phone calls behind it, has an approval process, has the names and phone numbers and emails of the people that we talk to. It has actual data points. There's a huge spreadsheet behind that spreadsheet you see in every case study. And we generate those. On average, every week and a half, we publish another case study. So we publish extraordinary numbers. So if you said to me, I want to know everybody who's delivered, and you can use our AI tool. You could say, what's the average ROI from pick a vendor, any vendor? And what's the average ROI for HR systems? What's the average ROI for CRM? We have so many case studies, and we're able to aggregate that and give you data points. The other thing is we're absolutely consistent. So the way we did the very first case study, the process that we used is exactly the same. So it's one of the reasons why we were the first technology research firm to have an AI tool. So our AI tool was the first to market. It was easy for us because all of our research is honest and it's consistent. So all we had to do was take all of our case studies and put them into our AI tool and say, there you go, we're done. That's all. We didn't have to put guardrails. We didn't have to weed out things that might be anomalies. It was all done the same way. So it made it very easy for us to build on top of a very consistent piece of research. I like to say it's a lot easier when you're honest about the research, which not everybody in this industry is. But because we adhere to a certain set of practices, it made it a lot easier for us to do that. And I think you're starting to see that ethics in the way we do business was number one in the company. It was the first thing we worked on. And getting that right and making sure that was a straightforward code for every employee made it easier from that point forward.
What has worked for you to attract customers, Jan? So what's the marketing channel at the end of the day that brings in those people?
Yeah, one of the things that our analysts, I'd like to say friendly analysts, and I know it's kind of an interesting thing, but if anybody's worked with analyst firms, you probably find that technology analysts can sometimes have, I want to say, a bit of an attitude. There's probably a friendlier way to say that, but if you've worked with analysts, you get it, right? And that's something.
I was an analyst.
Yeah, we aggressively sort of, I want to say beat that out of them, but figuratively, but we aggressively discourage that. So you'll find our analysts will pick up the phone. They tend to be friendlier. And part of it is our research approach. I'm not here to catch you on something. I'm here to understand how you deliver value and articulate that to folks trying to buy your product so that they can make the best decision possible. So I am friendly to vendors. I am friendly to end users. Our goal as analysts is to help you. It's not to catch you. It's not to say rank you in some way. It's to put you in the best light possible, given your capabilities and how people are buying. Every product out there delivers value, or it would be out of business. It wouldn't be running. These companies would be gone. But they don't all deliver the same value. Pickup trucks versus minivans, different. Let's understand how they deliver value and make sure that they're targeting their clients properly so their clients can buy them. So because we have that friendly, open approach, it makes it a lot easier for our analysts to be friendly. As part of that, we tend to do more marketing. So if you called an analyst and said, hey, we've got a webinar we'd love to do next week. We don't really have any budget. Is there any way you can jump in because the person who was doing it couldn't do it? Sure. If it's possible, if it's a client of ours already, if we have data that we can use, odds are pretty good that our analysts will always do the right thing and be able to help you out. So it's that willingness to be very generous with our clients that is increased our repeat business and increased our longevity. So we have some clients, for instance, that can't buy advisory services just because of the way they do their accounting. But then they spend more money with us than they would had they bought an advisory service from us. So they continue to buy from us product after product. They continue to say, I need another case study. I need more work. And then we will do as much as we can to make sure that not only are we giving them a case study, for instance, but we're giving them all the tools that they need to help them promote it. So we may do a video on LinkedIn for them that they can redistribute. We'll do a posting. We may do a press release for them. We may offer to do a webinar. It's not just throwing something over the wall, but making sure that when we send them something that they can use, they get the most value possible. Another thing that we do, for instance, if you buy something from us as a vendor, we don't have limits on how long you can use it. So typically other research firms will say, you're buying a license to use it for 12 months or 6 months. We say, please use it keep using it, because the more you use it, the more clients, the more success you'll have, the more you'll come back to us. We want you to be successful using the research that we deliver, because the more successful you are, the more successful we are. So we're very focused on making our customers as successful as possible. And again, I'm talking about vendors. On the end user side, it's the same thing. You're making a decision. You're sticking your neck out. You're deciding on a particular CRM system. Your career is, to some small extent, on the line. We want to make sure that you're making the best decision possible. We're going to help you build a business case and justify it as best as you can, as best we can, so that when you deliver that message internally, there's enough data behind it to justify why you made the decision, so that you don't have to feel like I'm pleading for something. Please give me a CRM system. What you're saying is, if we get a CRM system, this is the value the organization will have. So on both sides, we're here to help. And we take that approach with our analysts. Our analysts are always friendly. They're always easy to get along with. And it's all part of the way we do business that makes people feel comfortable working with us, instead of typically with a research firm, there's a little bit of an adversarial us versus them. We have none of that. And we really work hard to make sure that doesn't exist.
As I said earlier, I like your style. So I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball question at you, Yana, now, if you don't mind.
Okay.
What is your number one challenge? What is the one nut that your guys are trying to crack that once you crack, you take the whole thing to the next level? What would that be for you?
My biggest challenge has always been hiring, has always been finding the right people. I'm encouraged and discouraged at the same time. We have multiple headhunters that actively send us resumes practically every day. I think I've got 3 resumes today. So both on the sales side and on the analyst side. On the analyst side, we are looking for a particular kind of person. And I'll tell you, one of the things we don't care about GPA. We don't care about grade point average, because I find grades really just don't mean anything anymore. So we give people tests, and it's 4 easy questions, which when I say easy, they're not, but it's 4 questions. I haven't had anybody get all 4 right. So it's tough, and it's not just the questions, but the way people answer that's really more important. So finding folks that will fit with the team, that have that style that we can then grow as analysts has always been the limiting factor for us. On the sales side, there are a lot of salespeople out there. Some of them are great. Some of them are good. Some of them should be doing something else. And weeding out the really good ones, the great ones from the good ones, and from the not salespeople. Sales is a professional job. And I think folks that treat it as a professional job do really well. Folks that treat it as sort of a default job tend to do very poorly. On the analyst side, it's the tough one, finding the really good analysts. And we've had some real good successes lately. So we've got some great ones on board. And I would say every member of the team I absolutely love. I love all of them. They're fantastic. I couldn't be more proud of what they do. When I see one of them quoted in the Wall Street Journal or one of them on stage with somebody, I feel great about it. For me, though, as a boss, my days of being an analyst are over. I don't get to do that job anymore. I sort of sit back and I let them take that. So I sort of miss that. But people, and I think anybody would tell you, people tend to be the hardest thing. And you're looking for certainly intelligence, looking for flexibility, but more importantly, you're looking for fit. Do they have the same ethics? Do they have the same work style? Will they fit with the team and be additive to the team? That's always been the toughest challenge. And I face that every day.
Absolutely love that. It's a beautiful challenge, and I guess a challenge that 99.9% of the professional service firms are facing.
I'll tell you a story. I had someone who started for me as a temporary admin. So she was running the front desk years ago. She was an admin, and a really fantastic person. Absolutely loved her. Very smart. And it became pretty clear to me that she was too smart to be an admin, and this was just a holding job. And I remember calling her in. I had one of my analysts with me, and I finally said, "Look," I called her in my office. And she was a temp, so I'd already called the temp agency. And I called her in my office. I said, "Look, you're fired." And she was. I said, "Look, as of today, you're fired because it's not about you. It's about me. I can't have you working for me as an admin because I feel badly watching you do that. That's just not the job for you." I said, "But there is an analyst job available if you want it. And that job pays 3 times what you're getting now. That you can start immediately." And she's turned out to be one of, I think, the most fantastic. I mean, they're all fantastic analysts, but to watch her grow every day and to see where she's ended up. I have another guy who came, and I remember him years ago, just coming out of school. He was just like a kid. And now you see him on stage with CEOs of big corporations. And I'm like, geez, from where he came from to where he is now, the confidence, his ability to dominate a market, just the way he is as a person. I sit back, I'm just amazed at how well each of them have done. And, for me, of course, finding people, but then looking at each person saying, what more can we do to grow each individual? That's the satisfying part now. I couldn't be happier about watching these folks as they grow.
Ian Campbell, ladies and gentlemen. Ian, if people want to find out more about you, see what you do, where should they go?
Kim, thanks. It's nucleusresearch.com, easy place, and you can email any of us or just pick up the phone and give us a call. Email's usually better, but happy to chat with anybody. If you ever have any ROI questions or concerns, we're here to help, and absolutely easy to get a hold of. So please reach out.
We will put all the links in the description. I can say one thing for sure. It's that you've gained at least one new connection on LinkedIn out of this interview. Me.
Thank you.
I've just added you. Ian, thank you so much for coming on the Principal Podcast.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Principal Podcast. We hope you've learned valuable lessons and strategies to grow your firm and take your business to the next level. Make sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening to this show so you never miss an episode. To apply and be a guest on the show, click the link in the description. See you next time.